selection process was not complicated at one level. What we did was we advertised, we invited architects to apply, and then we interviewed them. And that sounds very simple and straightforward. In fact, of course, it was extraordinarily difficult because we got it down to a long lead and then a short list. And each one of them each one was a temptation. I mean, almost all of them produced some sort of interesting idea or some sort of aspect of the building which we hadn't thought on. And it was very interesting just watching this process, dealing with people of immense sophistication in their own field of activity. And people, by and large, I thought of great imagination and an ability to envisage something that wasn't there in a way that's not given to ordinary mortals like myself. There was a general feeling that this was a building of real significance, a building that would be noticed beyond Scotland. And what we wanted was the right architect. We had to have leading the team someone who had imagination and flair. And it would have been, I believe, a very parochial move to say it had to be a Scot. I think the important thing was that it was someone who could produce the building of the sort and the calibre that we wanted. And that, I believe, is what we have got in Enric Miralles. And I think the end product will justify that choice. I'm sure there'll be some people somewhere who still think that we should have reinvented Sir William Bruce or Robert Adam, or perhaps rebuilt the Parthenon with a roof on it.
We were really surprised. I mean, we were really, more than surprised, we were really happy.
It was a surprise to win the competition. Was not a surprise when, after we had the possibility to see how our explanation was accepted. We saw, we felt someone in front of us who was really receptive in a way. When you have a conversation, you sometimes understand if the one you are conversing with understands you or not. And when you feel that someone understands you, the most important part is done.
After the competition, the project was selected in a way. The client studied the possibilities. And then we have done, and I think is what you should see in the exhibition, the really first serious attempt to see that the project that we propose in the competition it's possible to be done in relation with relation to the brief, to the budget, to the conditions of the site, the conditions of the time. I think, let's say, from internal point of view, we have, in a way, prepared the basis to really now go ahead.
I've, of course, seen the design evolving, and it does seem to me to live up to the promise, and has developed remarkably closely to the lines which he first explained to us when he was interviewed. He's in partnership, of course, and it's a very live partnership with Ramjam, who's a big Edinburgh practice, and they're contributing to the design work as well. It's a teamwork. And the client, I've got some very skillful people in my own department who have wide experience, and they are also playing a very significant part. So it is genuinely a joint effort.
We took Ramjam because their capacity, and Mick Duncan came to Barcelona at the very early stages of the competition, and in a way it was very nice, the conversation and how we developed the strategy, how to present, and I think it's been working like that. It's been working, of course, in a much more pragmatic way, but most of all as a very enriching conversation.
I think we always had a fantastic relation with Scotland, even also under the professional point of view. Enric was lecturing here a lot of times, and we had a very nice relationship with architects here in Scotland. And I think it was a kind of, a similitude or an immediate feeling of being next to each other. So we were really, really happy to participate in this Scottish adventure.
The relation between Scotland and Catalonia, in the architectural point of view, besides being a very clearly identifiable culture, through history, through kind of buildings, through landscape, through geography, also is the fact that here you have had memorable architectonical moments identified with your culture. Edinburgh as a city itself. We could say that an equivalent to Girona, for instance, as one of these medieval cities that later on becomes important. Then cities who had developed a kind of love or mythology around an architect, Glasgow and Mackintosh, Barcelona and
Gaudí,
Gaudí,
yes.
no? So it is all these kind of relations that of course you could find in other places, but when you enter the place, then you start finding similarities, no?
He wasn't looking for a great landmark building. He wasn't trying to build the highest tower in the whole of central Scotland as a mark of the importance of the Parliament. He was looking at this tremendous site with the slope of the ground into the Royal Park and then rising up into Arthur's Seat and Salisbury's Crags. He was looking at the Canongate and the palace. And what he was talking about was a building that grew out of that site, was not simply imposed upon that site.
I think this issue about how the building reflect the Scottishness or it's such an important issue. Even if the building is built in this wonderful site and difficult site at the end of the Royal Mile in Canongate, in a way we twisted the building that faces and is really connected to the landscape going down into the hill of Arthur's Seat. No? So in a way, in a kind of gesture that says that the building is part of the land of Scotland.
It's a group of buildings really we're developing here. It's not one great big pile. It's a group of buildings full of space, full of internal views.
It's not a building that to be seen as an object. It's a building that is going to be from being there and looking into the park and into the Arthur's Seat, looking into the palace, coming from Canongate, being in the garden and looking over the garden again into the hills. It's framing the city. So in a way you will see that these small volumes located there will allow to have a completely different and I hope better view of that city, of that place of Edinburgh.
The important thing is that the public like the building, that Scotland is at home with the building and sees it as a symbol of new and exciting possibilities. It's a great chance. It's their building in a sense, because this whole radical change in our democratic arrangements would not have taken place if it hadn't been endorsed by the people of Scotland with their votes in the referendum.
We know, we have considered that architecture has to last through time. So every comment that you hear is temporary. Maybe everybody seems not to like it in a certain moment, but you know that this happened many times in history to many things, not only architectural thing, but also operas, great operas that we adore now. For example, the first presentation was a disaster, and you have to be sure about that you've tried to do your best, and then let the thing go and see what happens.
Of course, to have been lucky enough to, for once in my time, to be the right place at the right time is an enormous piece of luck and something that I've enjoyed tremendously. It's been a time of change. We've shaken up all sorts of things in Scotland and indeed in the United Kingdom. And the building is going to be a symbol of that. The building is going to be the physical embodiment of that adventure. Whatever happens, I will look back with enormous pleasure and maybe even allow myself a bit of pride.